How's it going, guys? This is Clark Hellscream coming out with the second video in one day because it's card review season and I just can't contain my excitement. Why can't I contain my excitement? Well, why don't we just jump through the cards and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Number one for today is Playmaker, a 3-mana 4/3 warrior epic. After you play a rush minion, summon a copy with 1 health remaining. So the very first thought about this card is Restless Mummy. Restless Mummy works very, very well with this card. However, there's not really a lot of rush minions that I really want another copy of with 1 health. Like, I guess the way to think of this card is like doubling up on rush to try and kill like a big minion. But like, if you curve this out on turn 3, it's pretty easy for your opponent to clear, and you have to curve out into a rush minion almost immediately to get value. So like, if you're able to play this with like Kargath or something like that, that could be insane. Getting 2 Prime shuffled into your deck, definitely very, very powerful. But I don't really see this as a curve or tempo card because Tempo Warrior and Aggro Warrior really don't need this. Pirate Warrior definitely doesn't need this. And Control Warrior, if you really want the second Kargath, I guess you can put it in the deck. So like, it does have applications. I just don't know how strong this is going to be compared to the other warrior cards that have already been introduced so far. So I really want to give this like a 2-star just to start. But like, this card could easily become very, very commonly played in warrior depending on the rush cards that get released, and we actually do have some other rush cards, so this card has more ways of being viable before the set comes out. But for right now, I'm just going to give it a 2-star because I feel like there's better warrior cards that actually kill your opponent a little bit more effectively than trying to go for some crazy rush minion value. Next up, we have the first Warlock natural legendary of this expansion, Archwitch Willow, a 9-mana 7/7 Battlecry. Summon a demon from your hand and recruit one from your deck. It's not actually the keyword, but it's definitely still recruit. Don't get it wrong. So essentially with this card, in Wild, it's definitely, well, it's Wild to say the least. You get to summon a demon from your hand and from your deck. That's absolutely insane. That's something that Skull the Minari can't do, is pull something from your deck. But like in Standard, there's not really a lot of demons. There's really not that many big demons that you want to get value out of when playing this card. Like, if this was a Demon Hunter card, I'd be a little bit more impressed because Demon Hunter has a lot of really, really big demons. But, like, in Warlock, I'm not really sure if there's any demons that we really want to cheat out. Like, most of the demons that see play in Warlock are mostly Zoo cards. So, like, maybe if you're able to do this, I can't even think of any big demons, man. I really can't. Standard just doesn't really see them. And most demons that get played in Warlock are probably like Galcon demons. So like, I'm unfortunately blanking on how to really make this card effective straight from the get-go. But like, as a 9-mana card, you really have to make sure that they're big demons. And as of right now, Warlock just doesn't have it. So for right now, I'll give this card a 3 because in Wild, it has applications. I'm not sure if it's going to really have a slot in Q-Block, but it does have that potential to make Q-Block a little bit good. But overall, like, in Standard, it really needs some help. So I think this is a great card, and it's a really, really powerful card. But it needs, you know, the demons to back it up to make it really good. So for right now, I'm just going to give it a 3-star. Next up, we have Dr. Krastenov, I think is how you pronounce it. It's a 5-mana 4/4 rush. Whenever this attacks, give your weapon +1/+1. So in my previous video, I was talking about, I think it's Steel Dancer, the 4-mana 4/4 for both Rogue and Warrior that summons a minion's cost depending on the attack of the weapon. So if you have a 5-drop weapon, if you have a 5-attack weapon, you summon a random 5-drop. This card, it definitely really helps out that card, so it kind of boosts its rank from my previous video, because I didn't know this card existed. But in any case, Rogue, a lot of these Rogue Warrior cards really feel like they benefit Warrior more than they benefit Rogue. But like at the same time, if we're able to do something with Wogglepick, for example, I really think that is pretty cool. Because that's a really good curve play, and if you're able to return this minion back into your hand and then suddenly have another weapon, then you can just really, really milk the value. But I highly doubt you're going to get more than 1 trigger out of this, because your opponent's probably incentivized to kill it, right? So with that in mind, in Rogue, I feel like it's very weak, but in Warrior, it's amazing. This card is amazing in Warrior. Because, like, by the time that it's, like, turn 3 or, like, turn 4, you're probably about to just play your weapon, and then you can immediately give it an upgrade after it. So, like, this card could make Tempo Warrior or Aggro Warrior a little bit more consistent in that aspect of, like, getting a lot more damage since, like, now that Corsair Cash has been nerfed, like, that extra 3 damage per game can really make a difference depending on the matchup. So, like, I'm going to go ahead and give this card 4 stars for the fact that, like, in Warrior, it's a really good card. but it really just doesn't have a lot of ways of being supported in Rogue unless they get a little bit more support around this weapon strategy. And the whole thing about it is that, is it better than Galakrond? I really don't know. Like, you could play this with Galakrond. That is something that is cool. But at that stage of the game, wouldn't you rather just play Kronks? Wouldn't you just rather play, like, Togwaggle? Wouldn't you rather play, like, any other really big card? Like if you're playing, like, Highlander Rogue, play, like, Dragon Queen or something like that? I just don't think that this is going to see too much play in Rogue, but in Warrior, it has a lot of potential. And up next, we have probably a card that I'm really excited for all of the wrong reasons. We got Penflinger. Battlecry, deal 1 damage, Spellburst, return this to your hand. So, the active running joke with this is that it's an even better Elven Archer because you can potentially get more than 1 trigger out of it. But when I see this card, there's actually a meme combo that I already know how to pull off with this. It's a little bit of a setup, but I was literally playing a deck called APM Rogue earlier this expansion, where the whole point of the deck was to play Finley with Rogue, get the Demon Hunter hero power, and then buff it up with Justicar, play Umbral Skulker for a bunch of coins, Beardo, and activate the coins to get the hero power. So essentially, it's around the same thing with this, except you don't play Beardo because you're not getting your hero powers. But like, you can play Shark, you can play Umbral Skulkers and easily get 15 coins if you have Shark with like Shadow Steps and whatnot. And then suddenly this is going to deal 2 damage. You play coin, it's going to come back to your hand, rinse and repeat 15 times to kill off your opponent. So for meme aspects, 5 out of 5, man. Meme is definitely strong with this card. An actual application, I guess in some classes you can, I guess in Hunter you can give this poisonous sometimes, maybe in Rogue too. Like, other than that, there's not really a lot of cards to make this useful. But you're goddamn right that I'm gonna make a combo out of this first day in order to get some pretty sweet, juicy memes going. So this card is 5 stars for meme value, but in actual value, I'm sorry, but it's a 1. This card is pretty underwhelming, and unless Rogue has ways of like giving this poisonous consistently, I don't really know how often returning it to your hand is going to make a difference unless you're like really just trying to milk 1 damage per turn. I don't know. But meme game is definitely strong. Next up, we have Mage Hunter. Not the 2 classes. We have a card called Mage Hunter, a 3-mana 2/3 Demon Hunter card. Rush, whenever this card attacks a minion, silence it. So Edwin Van Cleef not going to the Hall of Fame suddenly just got a little bit of support behind it because now people can actually beat Edwin in the Demon Hunter matchup. So that's pretty cool. But other than, you know, the absolute best possible outcome, what about other classes? Like against Mage, there's not really a lot of cards that I want to silence except for like maybe the Solarian Prime that doesn't get value anymore. And actually all the primes, now that I think about it, this is a great curve into the primes if your opponent happens to play them in the early game. So you can completely deny them those. Obviously, you can do it to get rid of taunts. Like, there's a lot of ways this card is going to be utilized. So I feel like Tempo Demon Hunter got a really powerful card here. I'm not sure if we want to run 2, only because Consume Magic is a card. And, like, you can easily play, like, Cobalt Spellkin to help you get that card into your hand. So, like, in terms of, like, wanting to run a bunch of silence, I don't know. But I like the idea of running this as a 1-of in order to just absolutely decimate Edwin whenever it comes down. Because you know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. It's going to show up on Trollden, and everyone's going to be like, ha ha ha, Edwin. Not so good anymore, right? No, it's still insane. Edwin is still insane. This 1 card is not going to make it low tier. But for how good this card can be, I'm going to give it a 3-star only because I don't feel like this is a double include in every single deck. And it has ways of being weak when you don't want the silence. So for that, 3 stars. Next up is, I can't believe I was completely baffled when I read this card to myself. A 4-mana 4/5 legendary Lore Keeper Polkelt, I believe is how you pronounce that. Battlecry, reorder your deck from highest cost card to lowest cost card. Anyone want to play some Quest Warlock with a triggered quest and get some free 9-mana cards? Anybody? Raise your hand. Oh man, where to begin with this card? Like Questlock is really good with this. You can maybe get some pretty cool priest cards, like foddering out Galakrond, for example. When I was browsing the Reddit, people were saying that this is probably the reason why Galakrond Rogue got nerfed, so that way you don't just, play this on turn 6, hit your Galakrond, and then suddenly you hit literally every single good card out of your Galakrond, your Kronks, your Flick, your Togwoggle for 0 mana. Like, good lord, that had to be the reason why Galakron got nerfed. But other than that, like, if you play this on turn 4, though, it's very weak depending on what kind of deck that you're playing. And, like, Monsanto on Twitter said that he doesn't think that this card is going to be that powerful because there's not really a lot of ways in order to fodder out, at least in a lot of classes, a way to fodder out consistent draws that are really, really impactful. Even though, if you play this, like, in the later stages of the game, you can easily play your expensive cards, but you're kind of forced into that strategy. And if your opponent knows what your deck is, they might be able to do things to play around it or to just make things unfavorable for you. So there's some cons and some pros to this card for sure, but in terms of flavor, my god, they're real. Like, this is one reason why I love Hearthstone. You can't really do this with a lot of other games. I mean, I guess you could when it comes to paper card games, because you can just, you know, literally search through your deck and do that. But, you know, automation is very, very nice. This is a great way to make in order to make use of the aspect of the digital design of this game. So flavor wise, this card is through the roof, 5 stars. In terms of power level, though, I'm gonna give it a 4, and that's only because I've been defaulting for 3s for a lot of the cards. But like, this card in Quest Warlock is actually scary, really scary. And Quest Warlock, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a 4 because, my lord, that is a card. Next up is Secret Passage, a 1-mana rogue epic. Replace your hand with 5 cards from your deck. Swap back the rest. Oh, I'm sorry. Swap back next turn. Swap back next turn. So, like, this card is interesting, to say the least. Because the way that I see this is that you play this card when, obviously, you're looking for a very specific answer. Like, what if you really need Flick immediately? What if you're, like, searching for Galakron or something like that? Like, this card has a lot of cool ways of being utilized in like, Galakron Rogue and whatnot. Although, the thing I'm kind of worried about is the swap back next turn aspect of the card. Because, like, what if you don't get anything useful? Then suddenly, like, you play this card, you literally can't do anything this turn, you have to wait, and then you get back the cards that literally you just put back into the deck. So this card has some very, very interesting ways of being used, but I imagine the way this card is going to be used is if you're fishing for something very, very specific, because you get to draw 5 cards. Depending on, like, what turn it is, that's like a 25% chance to get a card that you want. Like, if you got 20 cards left in your deck, draw 5, hopefully you get it, right? Hopefully so. So, like, in terms of power level, I want to give this card a 4, but I really feel like I need to give it a 3 or a 2, because I don't know, man. Like, I just don't know if you want to take the risk a lot of the times, because this seems like a card that's, like, amazing to discover in order to give yourself ways of, like, finding outs and whatnot. But if you hard run this card, then suddenly, like, it doesn't necessarily make your deck weaker, but I feel like it can make it a little bit inconsistent, because, like, if you draw this, like, on turn 4, you don't have a really good play, you do this, and you don't have a play after you play this, then suddenly, like, you just skipped your turn to just really do a whole lot of nothing. So I'm going to give this card a 3, because I feel like it has ways of low-rolling really, really badly to the point where people just don't want to chance this in their deck. Again, Auto Discover, insane. Auto Discover, insane, but actually putting a slot in the deck, I'm not 100% sure. Next up, we have Wandmaker, a 2-mana 2/2 Battlecry. Add a 1-cost spell from your class to your hand. So this is essentially a smaller Kobold Spellkin, a very, very smaller Kobold Spellkin. I'm not really sure if this is going to see that much play, because I'm not really sure of the decks that want to play a 2-mana 2/2 and get a 1-cost card, aside from, like, Demon Hunter. Like, a lot of cards, when they go for the 1-mana spell, there's a lot of ways that things can fail. And because of that, I'm not really sure if this is going to see play. And again, Kobold Spellkin just literally does this card's job a little bit better. And you get a dragon, and you get a 3/5. It is 5 mana, so it's a little bit harder to pop it off as soon as possible. But, like, do you really just want to play a 2-mana 2/2, get a 1-mana spell, and have it whiff? I don't know, man. I feel like this card is a 1. Like, maybe a 2 in Demon Hunter. But Demon Hunter just doesn't want to run this card. Why do you want to, like, go for the 1 and 3 of hitting Twin Slice? Next up is a card I am so scared of. Like, good lord. I am absolutely scared of this card. 10 mana, Survival of the Fittest. Give +4/+4 to all minions in your hand, deck, and the battlefield. Where to begin? Druid ramps so insanely. So, like, this is one of those cards that obviously you have to spend, like, almost the entire game to try and make really good. But like, if Druid is able to make a deck kind of similar to, oh god, to Embiggen Druid, where it's just all about curve, and then suddenly you're able to ramp this up, and then on turn 10 you just have all of your minions get buffed. Like, that is absolutely insane. In Wild, you have Grand Archivist, so you could easily hit this card and have an insane Wild deck. I'm not really sure if that's going to see too much play, but in any case, it's a possibility. Like, this card is so scary to the point where Druid could be top tier based on this card alone. And that is just, that's something you got to keep in mind. So for that reason, I'm going to give this card a 4, because I feel like, I don't know how, I do not know in what manner this is going to be comboed out, but I really feel like Druid is going to have a deck that is going to use this card, and it's going to scam so many games. Also, what about Puzzle Box hitting this? Puzzle Box hitting this is so freaking funny. Oh, man. And next up is the last card, which is honestly the card that is completely just storming Twitter right now. 1 mana, 0/4, neutral, that's right, neutral legendary weapon. Sphere of Sapience. At the start of your turn, look at the top card. If you can put it at the bottom of your deck and lose a durability. So essentially, it's kind of like Scry a little bit, not as insane, but still, dude, like, whoa, we've never had something like this in Hearthstone. It's also, you can play this on turn 1. You can easily, like, have a great curve if you're able to, like, you know, you just get rid of the 9 mana card, put it at the bottom of your deck. Hopefully it's not something you need later on in the game, but like, dude, this helps so much with curve. I don't know what decks are really going to run this, but like, it's a neutral card. Any class can run this. Like, you can curve out really well. Maybe if you're playing like Quest Warlock, you can really try to get the cards that you really want, like getting like refill, or I'm sorry, getting I'm sorry, I can't even think. Plot twist. There we go. Getting plot twist. In Highlander Hunter, going for the combo, going for curve. If you're playing an aggro deck, curve. Just, oh my god, curve, dude. Curve Stone is back because of this card. Oh my lord. Like, I'm really struggling to find a deck that wouldn't want to use this. And this might just be a card that we might see in every single deck. Like, it just makes sense. This might bring back some oozes and whatnot, or maybe some Harrison Jones to try and deny the weapon draw. But dude, this is the first time that we've ever seen a neutral weapon that isn't attached to a minion, essentially, like Blingtrong or something like that. So this card has a 5 in terms of flavor, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it the ballsy rating of 5, because I really feel like every single one of these classes has some way to utilize this card. It's just bonkers. It's insane. Wouldn't you want the chance to look at a card and be like, I'll just go for another one. I don't want that card. I want something else. Anybody would do that. It's a card game. It's just literally increasing your odds. This card is insane, and it's a 5. Like, just bam, it's 5. This card is amazing. It's probably one of the best that we've seen so far, and I'm really hyped to be able to put it in my decks and draw it on turn 1 and play some good old-fashioned Curve Stone. But there you have it. Those are the new cards that have come out today. I'm really excited for this expansion. I really hope that we get even more flavorful cards to make this expansion even more hype. There's so many people that are really excited for these cards. Are you? Let me know in the comments below. If you think that I'm wrong about some of these cards, also let me know, man. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like, you guys are right. You guys are the ones that makes the comments, right? But in any case, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you for when some new cards get revealed, and until next time.